to be paying more than y'all thought y'all was going to be paying. And let's not get started on our next topic, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All right. Good old tariffs. Let's go ahead and find out what a tariff is. I told you we got us an economic class today, guys. I'm sorry, but it has to be done. Oh yeah, we can watch this. This is a good one here, and then we'll go in. Well, let me do what the tariffs actually are, and then we'll move on from here.
We've got passion, we've got determination. Like, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
Tariffs.
All right. Now, just because, like, with the Ukraine war and everything, we kind of already went over why the Ukraine and Russia war is so important on a global stance, because it's about 30% of the wheat in the world primarily goes to like Europe and stuff, but it comes from like the Ukraine and things of that nature. They are getting their fuel and everything from Russia, which is, you got to remember, like the euro, the pound, the dollar, they all play on each other. Hopefully the dollar can pass up the euro. That's what I'm hoping for. The dollar passes up the euro. So my rent here, it'd be like 1,500 euro. But if we pass them up, that should be like $1,200. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If I can get my rent down to like 1,100, 1,200, 1,000, wow, man, you might see me in Gucci. No way. You might see me in all kinds of the dime. But no. I do want the dollar to pass up the euro, though, man. I've never witnessed that since I've been here. When I first moved to Europe, the pound was £1 to $1.40. €1 was $1.23. I think it's got down. The lowest was $1.07, maybe $1.10 per euro. But I definitely want the dollar to pass up the euro so my rent can start rolling back. Feel me? I pay $1,540, but if I can get that down to about like $1,200, oh man, I'm broke, baby. I ain't got it. You feel me? All right, so we're gonna go over what tariffs are. Then we're gonna go into some of that, and then we're gonna see what Trump actually said, and we're gonna see how that applies to our everyday life, and if it's feasible, and if it could work. Which, as Eric stated, today's segment is, it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. But hey, man, this isn't me, man. I'm just giving you guys the fact. I don't care who you voted for. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm on neither side. I just want to survive, make a way for myself, and enjoy life. You know, I just don't want to be paying an arm and leg for grapes. I love grapes. I just finished the whole thing of grapes today. Took them to work. Had them in my little bowl. Put them in the refrigerator when I got to work. About 9 o'clock. Ooh, chowing down. I'm talking about ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh, man, I can. Oh, man. I need to go to the commissary and go pick me up some. Matter of fact, I might. I think the Germans got the purple grapes out right now. Ooh, I got to go to the commissary and give me some green grapes. Ooh. All right. Let me get focused, guys. What is a tariff? We're going to go through what tariffs are and why they are good and why they are bad, and why some people are saying the reason behind this is to bring back, say it's encouraging to bring back what? Manufacturing jobs to the States. But we're going to go ahead and debunk that myth of why this is what he's actually trying to do, because we have proof that that's not what he's trying to do with tariffs. Also, he doesn't really know what the fuck a tariff is, but we'll get into it. What up, NL? All right, what is a tariff? They're going to go ahead and explain it to us. They're going to dumb it down for us. This is no disrespect to anybody. I haven't watched this, so I'll say if I'll chime in. We'll put it like that. But we'll figure out what tariffs are.
Tariffs. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. Imported goods are products being brought into the country from another country. For example, coffee being imported into the UK from Costa Rica, whereas exported goods would be the UK selling items such as machinery overseas to another country. A tariff is very clearly a barrier to trade, as it effectively places a tax on these goods and services coming into the country from another. This makes
It's a tax on goods coming from country A to country B. But wait, let's see where these tariffs are actually paid. Who pays this tax and where are these taxes paid?
these foreign goods coming from other countries more expensive than the ones made and sold domestically in this country. By making these products more expensive, this is a barrier to international trade, as it makes goods from abroad more expensive and less competitive than products that are sold in this country. Let's take a look at a very simplified example. Let's say the cost of a car made and sold in the UK is £20,000. Let's also say you can purchase an imported car from Japan for £18,000, saving you £2,000. However, the UK government decides to place an import tax of 25% on Japanese cars. This would now make the £18,000 car cost £22,500, meaning that it would now be more expensive than the UK car. This example in theory would mean demand would drop for the Japanese cars and in turn put a barrier in the way of international trade, as demand for imports would drop.
So the car may have been cheaper, but once you impose that tariff on it, it's going to bump the price up. So now that 25% that they got to pay on that, the people importing it, the 25% they got to pay, who's actually going to cover that for them? Because they got to pay that 22.5. So now the car is going to be more expensive. So the consumer, you and I, we have to pay more for this imported good. But that's going to try to force us to buy the stuff that's here. Now, the only problem with that, we'll get to it a little bit further on, because this is one of my debunking things that we're going to have to touch bases on. But are we following what a tariff is? It's not taxing the country that sent it. It's taxing you and I that are buying the product that's coming in.
Tariffs are also used to promote and protect businesses in their own country and make the option of importing more expensive. So what impact do tariffs really have? Tariffs do have their advantages and disadvantages, and although it can limit international trade, there are reasons governments use tariffs. One of the most obvious advantages is that it means domestic products can compete with foreign alternatives, where production costs and labour is usually cheaper. A tariff makes the goods equal to or cheaper than international competitors. An obvious benefit for the government is that it increases.
Okay, we only got a minute. I was about to speed this up. Now, remember, all this money that comes in from these tariffs, I'm going to give you a more simplified version. The money that comes in from these tariffs, guess who gets it? Oh, yeah, that's right. The government. We're paying more and the government is getting that tax. But guess where our tax dollars are going? It ain't going back to us. We just found out that we about to be spending about roughly $200 billion on chasing 1 million people.
Their revenues, as tariffs are paid directly to the government. An argument often touted by politicians who advocate tariffs is that it protects jobs, especially in manufacturing, where tariffs discourage companies moving manufacturing overseas and in turn saving jobs. However, there are downsides to tariffs. Ultimately, tariffs make goods more expensive for the end consumer. We buy products affected by tariffs every day. Food, clothes, cars, and electronics usually all have tariffs placed on them. Another disadvantage is tariffs are rarely one-sided, and if one country imposes a tariff on another country, then they often retaliate by putting tariffs on their goods. And finally, The counter-argument is that jobs are often lost elsewhere through tariffs. So, for example, in the export industry, where if the country is exporting less, jobs in exports will decrease. What?
I ain't gonna lie to you. That was kind of boring there. That was kind of boring there. Let me break this down for you. All right. Right now, what Trump is talking about is implementing a 20% to 100% tariff on Mexico if they don't help out with the migrant crisis. Meaning, someone named one of their what is a major thing that comes from Mexico? No, is that their song? I don't even know the Mexican national anthem. What is something that comes from Mexico? Because let's go ahead and go into the debunking of all of this. I'm trying to find something easy. So I mean, like electrical. What is one of the goods from Mexico? We'll get to it though. But all right, here we go. So November 4th, Trump threatens up to 100% tariffs on Mexico over immigration. He said he would set a 25. Golly, come on, man. We ain't buying this. We worried about tariffs. You over here trying to. Come on, does Rutgers have it? Now, of course, none of us buy Mexican cars, but when is this article anyway? So this is November 20th. This is 2 days ago. Mexico warns Trump about a tariff impact on U.S. companies. So even Mexico is letting us know, like, hey, bro, if you put 100% tariff tax on us, that's going to fuck up your countries. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, no, Mo, with the tariffs, that's encouraging homemade manufacturing. How long is it going to take to build a manufacturing plant, get it up and running, that you're actually going to be able to benefit from it? See, the world economy is called global economy for a reason. Now, my initial degree that I got, my bachelor's degree, is in international trade from Arizona State University. So this is where I thrive at. Okay, this is where I thrive and where the money comes from. That's why you guys always hear me talking about like what's it gonna cost everything. Now, let's just take even numbers per se. They say that manufacturing of cars, computers, if something costs $10 to come to America, all right, boom, that is what it is. It's $10 that comes in. Now that $10 product, they sell to you for $15. They make a $5 profit. That's business. There's always a bottom line. You always want to make a profit. No one goes into business to just be in business. Now that $10 product comes in as $10. They sell it for $15 to you. They profit $5. Now, if you put 100% tariff tax on there, that product that costs $10 to get to the country, when it gets to customs, it now costs their company $20. 100% of 10 is 10. So now that product costs $20 to bring into the country. You were paying $15. Now that $15, if they had 100%, that same product that cost you $15 before the 100% tariff now costs you $30. That's what 100% tariff is going to do. So now you're paying $30 for the same thing that was $15 before 100% was implemented to it. Now, Trump is threatening 25 to 100% to Mexico. Also, the same people he told you and I 8 years ago that Mexico was going to pay for the border wall in Mexico didn't even bat an eye at that shit. Now, we also found out that recently Trump has even floated around a 200% tariff to Mexico on automobiles. Now, none of us buy Mexican cars. I don't even know what a Mexican car is. But Trump has floated a 200% tariff on all old autos imported from Mexico and a 200% tariff on China-related automakers that move production to Mexico. Now, the reason he's going to that, and it all ties in with everything, baby. It all ties in with everything. And listen closely. Since China was getting hit with so many tariffs because Trump was applying those, and we know that we're the biggest importer of Chinese goods. China, what they were trying to do was build manufacturing companies in Mexico to avoid that tariff. And instead of coming from China, they would go to Mexico. But what did Trump do? He said, no, if you move your company to Mexico, we'll still hit you with 200%. Now, if you didn't know, China is the largest EV maker, electric vehicle maker in the world. China is also sending out 40 to 50,000 EVs to like Finland, to Sweden. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Billionaire Elon Musk, what does he do? Oh, he was one of the first EV makers here. Remember what he always complained about over these 4 years. And one reason he moved from California to Texas was to maximize the money that Tesla can make. Guess who he's in bed with now? He's with Donald Trump. So now when you hear a 200% tax on, guess what? China and Mexico EVs, because everyone's trying to do that. California 2035, all new vehicles have to be EV. Trump tried to stop Ford and General Motors, the backbone of America, who we always bail out, when Biden gave them all that money to switch over to EVs. Elon Musk is right with Trump. He wants to government efficiency. This is so Tesla will be the #1 EV maker in the United States, backed by his partner in crime, Donald Trump. So we put these EV taxes on automotive taxes on Mexico and on China. All of this is happening for a reason. They're not just doing this shit. They're doing it right in front of us. That's why Elon is so close. Elon basically paid for the election to get people to vote, because he has over 17 contracts worth $3 billion through the government. If he can start going in there and saying, hey, we got to eliminate NASA, SpaceX will take it over. SpaceX will start getting all of those contracts. Oh, yeah, that's right. Tesla, we want to be the biggest EV maker. But it's funny that everyone is saying global warming ain't real, but they support Elon Musk, who is doing what? Electric vehicles. They're talking about drill, baby, drill. But they're supporting Elon Musk, who has an electrical vehicle. You see? They're doing all of this for a reason. It's not because they're looking out for America. They're fattening their own pockets. But hey, it's right there in our face. Watch this. And also, you know why China's getting hit so hard? Because China, they have their own electric vehicles. So what do? They put tariffs on Elon Musk. Why? Because China's looking out for their own country. They want their EVs to be in their country. So they don't want Teslas to come in there. They want to be able to get a huge market share so their own back companies will be good in America. Now, this is where I'm talking about what we're going to get into with the tariffs and bringing companies back to America, because nothing that they say is really what they do. This is crazy. This is crazy. I love it though. I love it. China's BYD is the world's largest electric car maker, and it's not coming to America anytime soon because they're supposedly getting hit with that 200% tariff. So this is going to give Tesla the head start. Well, I mean, Tesla already had the head start. Did I spell that all wrong? Look at this. Automakers to Trump, please require us to sell electric vehicles. Trump doesn't want Ford, General Motors, Dodge. He doesn't want them selling EVs because there's no such thing as global warming. Drill, baby, drill. But he supports Elon Musk, who does do electric vehicles. So the automakers are saying, we already started this because of what Biden put in place. This shit's it's right there, guys. It's right there. Now I know we all over the place, and you guys are probably like, man, Mo, your mind be wondering. But this is what I sit around and think when I'm not watching TV shows. This is what I'm doing. I'm just doing my own digging and my own research. Look at this. The Finnish and Chinese companies could expand cooperation on green transition. Chamber head. See, China, they're reaching out to all these companies. I mean, all these different countries. Why? Because they can make stuff cheaper. Now, if you didn't know, the world is built on a barter system. You know why? You know why America was discovered? Who knows why America was quote unquote discovered, even though it wasn't discovered? Who knows why? Who knows why America was discovered? Well, since you guys ain't up on your history, the reason America was quote unquote discovered, the reason America was quote unquote discovered, and why we have Indians who are Native American is because they were looking for a shorter route to get to India for their spices and trade with them. So they went westward in the Atlantic Ocean. They ran into the United States. Native Americans are called Indians because they thought they made it to India to get the spices and the silk that they had, because the world is built on trading. You may not have stuff in your region, so you have to go somewhere else. So that's why it's important to have open relationships with people. Even though we may be in conflict with China, we may be in conflict with like Russia and stuff, we still work with them because we get the cheap labor in China. Your iPhone, which costs, let's just say $1,500, built in China, if it's built here in the States, it's going to cost $2,500, $3,000 because you're not getting the cheap labor. You got to pay people to do the job. You got to pay the training. You got to pay for the leave. You got to pay for the healthcare. So that's why we get everything outsourced to bring it in. So Trump's cut to Biden's EV tax credit, backed by who? Elon Musk. An EV tax credit that's about to be cut, and it's backed by Elon Musk. That's because Elon Musk is getting SpaceX deals also. In this tax cut, if you were to go buy an EV, you get $7,500 off. You get 7,500 off of it. You get a tax credit for it. But Musk is like, nah, I want them to pay full price for my shit. You see what I'm saying? So how can you cut the EV tax credit for the big three, but have someone that only makes EV vehicles working next to you? It's crazy, right? Crazy. Now, which hurts, what hurts with the tariff that's going to come along that he's alleged, let's just keep it at 100%. Mexico, United States, Canada. All three of us have an open border. Now, you know, when you get your passport, you have a passport and then you have your passport card. The passport card only works in between Mexico, United States, and Canada. It's just so you can go back and forth because we have those open borders. Now, I don't never take my passport anywhere. I always take my card with me and use that as my identification. Well, I mean, obviously I fly with you got to fly with your passport, but when I get there, I leave the passport in the safe in the hotel room, and then I leave my driver's license, I leave my federal cat card, I leave all that in the room. You know, I only take my passport card because you can use that as ID out here. But yeah, man, it's just wild. So thinking that imposing these tariffs are going to bring jobs back, watch this. Trump wants to get rid of the infrastructure bill. Now, there was an infrastructure bill passed by Biden. Now, canceling this infrastructure bill is good because the steel and all the materials that we're going to need for this, we need to get it from China because it's going to be less than us going to, like, let's say Arizona or something and getting all these raw materials. If we just import it, it's already together. We just got to go and, you know what I'm saying, build it up. But he wants to diminish the infrastructure bill so he could take credit for it. But he really wants to get rid of the whole thing, scrap it because it's wasted money. Just like a lot of things that he does, he takes the former administration's work and he kind of tries to stop it so he can get in. And then once it becomes effective, he can take credit for it, such as like the economy from Obama. Oh, yeah, the best economy we have. All this shit is coming from people prior to him. But we talk about these tariffs and bringing businesses back to the States. Well, look at this. If you guys don't know, come on, Business Insider, we not paying for this. Let me ask you guys, what do you guys know about the chips factory? TSMC. What do you guys know about the CHIPS Act and why the CHIP Act was implemented? Does anyone know about the CHIPS Act and why we got that in place? Come on, guys. I told you it's gonna be an informative live tonight, man. We're gonna be doing a little bit. We're gonna be all over the place. We're gonna be all over the country. But this all ties into the tariffs and the myth that he's trying to bring jobs back to the States. Everything, everything has a chip in it. Your phone, this microphone, the camera, your TVs, your cars. You remember during the pandemic, you guys remember chips? You guys remember this? The semiconductor crisis, addressing the chip shortage during the pandemic. They couldn't make vehicles. Uh, they weren't making new computers at the rate that they were. Well, that's because there was a chip shortage. And the reason there was a chip shortage is because everyone was in the house. That means there was more online, but also there was one main place that we were getting all of this from, and we were getting it from Taiwan. The largest manufacturers of chips are over, the semiconductor chips are over in Taiwan. So we have the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act was put in place by Joe Biden because there's always been a threat of China invading Taiwan. So what he did instead was, since we know we're always growing, well, actually our numbers are down a little bit. The CHIPS Act was instilled so we could have the manufacturing companies here in the United States of America. So we wouldn't have to depend on Taiwan, because if China ever did anything, not only will we have a chip shortage, we might not be able to get any chips. So now in Arizona, with the CHIPS Act being passed, Biden locked in another 6.6 million for TSMC chip factories, ensuring Trump can't rescind the CHIPS Act. Trump wants to get rid of the CHIPS Act, but he just told us that he's implementing these tariffs to bring jobs back to the United States of America. Now, chips are in every single thing, every electronic that you use, there's a chip in it. Some kind of semiconductor chip. We're about to be producing them on our own land. Yes, of course, that's going to bring up the price. But just like he said, he's trying to bring jobs back. No, he's trying to cut the CHIPS Act. That's why Biden is sending this money down there so we can have this on our home front, because in 2027, there's a possibility that China will invade Taiwan. There's already tensions there. But if you've been paying close attention to what's going on, I mean, you may not, you might. India, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, they're trying to come up with their own NATO. Well, a NATO of some form where they all work together, because they have a fear that China might invade Taiwan, which I mentioned earlier, which is why we have the first chain islands that protect, like everything is blocked in. So all of this has been put together years and years before we were born. You know, after World War II, everyone started coming together. Okay, we can make this global economy work if we all work together. Let's team up. So India, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, they're all trying to come up with a way to help each other out in case China does invade Taiwan, because they want to take their land back. So Joe Biden, with the assistance of all the smart motherfuckers, not including me, he already knew about this, so they started the CHIPS Act. So now we'll have the semiconductors here, because missiles that we shoot off, the tanks that we drive, all the military shit that we need semiconductors. So that's what that's where the CHIP Acts came from. And we know that Donald Trump is in fact trying to end the CHIPS Act, but he's telling us he's implementing these tariffs to bring jobs back. But that doesn't make sense. If you get rid of the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act, that's taking jobs away from Americans. When we already have a shortage, when you're about to take away the immigrants, the illegal immigrants. So it's all kinds of wild shit going on, but it's right there on our faces. But we can't really say much because we have small voices. And I'm just a nigga in Germany. So I really don't have no say. So they definitely aren't looking to me for advice. Now, do I have world economic advice? No. I'm not going to sit here and say that I do. I just understand a little bit about trade and business. Now, am I the brightest motherfucker? Hell nah. Out of 329 million people in America, I say I'm at least top 50 million smartest people. I'm top 50 million. I put myself in that area, give or take 10 or 20 million. But you know what I mean? Let me see who got one. That's Arizona. I will just read that article then. Biden locks in 6.6 billion for TSMC chip factories, ensuring Trump can't rescind CHIPS Act deal. Washington, the Biden administration has finalized $6.6 billion award for the Taiwan semiconductor. Oh, what did I just say? Oh, yeah, that's right. Taiwan, the largest manufacturer in the world. Guess what? We brought them to America. It's about to be an American-based company. And of course, just like how they want TikTok and everything else, it will be ran by Americans. It will be on our land. And guess what? It's here to stay, people. Award for Taiwan semiconductor giant that building massive factories in Phoenix amid concerns President-elect Donald Trump would derail subsidies aimed at fostering the domestic chip industry. The gigantic announcement, Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo told reporters on a call ahead of the announcement early Friday, 10 days after Trump's election. This will be one of the most important investments that we make as a country to advance our economic and national security, he said. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company plans to invest $65 billion. So the company from Taiwan is investing $65 billion of their own money to actually build this. Now, the funding and everything for the CHIPS Act is opening up jobs. Now, I hope they go into how many jobs are going to be available down here. And not only when you build these factories become their own little communities. Once you have these factories pop up, guess what? Now you can get housing. You can get neighborhoods built around this because you're going to need houses for the 5 to 10,000 people that are living here. So they don't have to drive all the way into Phoenix. This opens up a new community. Phoenix is one of the highest, fastest growing cities in America. Now, Phoenix is like the suburbs around it. Phoenix is huge. Now, they're probably going to use Phoenix as one of the hubs to start looking for illegals because there are a lot of Hispanic people down there. But let me tell you something. I love Phoenix. If you ever get a chance to go to Phoenix, go to Phoenix. I love it down there. But let's continue on. So this Taiwan manufacturer, they know that, hey, this CHIP Act is coming. We putting up $65 billion of our own. We about to make our money hand over fist because if we can produce all this shit here, these other companies, like Kendall said, Sony, hey man, we need some semiconductors. We'll get them from you. But then you got like AMD, you got Nvidia, but they got to get their semiconductors made from some kind of manufacturer. So they'll get it from here. Then boom, they'll put their technology on it. They'll send that technology to them. The manufacturing company actually make the semiconductors, send it back to the companies, send it to us so we can get on the computer, get on all these other shit. Samsung will buy from them. Apple, everyone's going to be buying these semiconductors. Now, are they going to be a little expensive? Hell yeah, because they built in the States. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company plans to invest $65 billion on 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 state-of-the-art fabrication plants or fabs. That means thousands of jobs in Arizona. Semiconductors are used in chips that make computers work along with cell phones, fighter jets, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, and even ovens. U.S. officials allude to Trump's election to explain the timing of the award. For the next 2 months, you'll continue to see Commerce finalizing more awards, ensuring progress made to date will carry forward through the end of the decade. So they're setting this out like no matter what, CHIPS Act is good to go at least to the end of the decade, which gives us what, 5 years left? 2 months and a week before Trump would be sworn in. In April, the Biden administration promised $6.6 billion in grants to TSMC to build the Phoenix fabs. Plus up to $5 billion in loans. The funds come from the Biden signature legislative achievements. Now, this $5 billion in loans, that's good for the American economy. On $5 billion, they're going to probably end up paying $6 billion back with the interest on these loans. Now, they do have the grants, but that's to incentivize them coming to the United States of America. You're investing $65 billion. Okay, out of that $65 billion, we'll give you $6 billion in grants, and we'll give you a $5 billion loan. So, of course, the grant they're not going to have to pay back. But the thing is, we'll make that $6 billion back within the first year because of the economy is going to be booming. Because now we got 3,000 to 4,000 people with jobs. That's more money being put back into the economy. So that's how that works. And then with the loan, the $5 billion loan, let's just say roughly be $6 billion back. So that's $1 billion created that comes back. which would be sent back into the infrastructure, which we were going to have the infrastructure bill, which would help out with the highways, the interstates going throughout the cities to be able to connect city to city. So everything that Biden was doing, you know, people say is stupid, but when you look at the big picture, it's actually pretty good for the economic development of the United States of America. It's just certain people look at it as we didn't do it, so we got to cancel it so we can do it and get the credit for it. But all of this shit is put in place for a reason. They don't just do shit just for shits and giggles. Well, the CHIPS Act, why are we doing the CHIPS Act? Because we know about what's going on in Taiwan with China. See, whether you like them or not, they did a lot for the economy. Like, they did turn it around. We got more jobs than ever, but you know, it's just too expensive to live. But we're going over the tariffs right now. And while we're down this rabbit hole, we're looking at with these illegals being pushed out. Oh, it's about to get expensive as hell out here, guys. So go ahead. Go tap into your 401k, your Roth IRA. Go ahead, tap into it because you're going to need that extra money, baby. It's going down. 2026 is when you can really start looking for the collapse. The prices are going up and your income is going down. But that's just what the, you know, saying economists are saying. I don't know nothing about that. But here we go. So they get the $5 billion in loans. The funds come from one of Biden's signature legislative achievements, the CHIPS and Science Act, which set aside $52 billion for chip research, manufacturing, and workforce development in the United States of America. Now, there's a thing called Moore's Law. Does anyone know what Moore's Law is? And I'm not talking about me, guys. Does anyone know what Moore's Law is? That's important when it comes to chips and like memory and like technology. We'll go into that. But as I was pointing out, TSMC, one of the world's largest company, makes chips for leading technology and artificial intelligence developers, including Apple, NVIDIA, and AMD. Now, I'm invested in NVIDIA, AMD, and in Apple. Now, of course, I'm trying to get my position on Apple to at least, I want to get to at least 300. I want to get my NVIDIA up to 100. And then my AMD, I'm behind on. If I can just get that up to like my position to like 50, I'll be all right on that. But Apple, I'm trying to get to 300. NVIDIA, trying to get that to 100. And then AMD, I'll hover around there, try to get to like 50, maybe 100. But we'll see where we go from there, you know. But in June, Trump rattled investors when he accused Taiwan of stealing U.S. chip industry and asserted that U.S. shouldn't be giving them billions of dollars to build chips. The chips deal is so bad, he said October 25th to Joe Rogan. The largest manufacturer in the world is spending $65 billion to build 3 fabrication companies, manufacturing fabs here in the United States to make what? American made chips. How is this bad when you're the one talking about giving away U.S. chip industry? What chip industry do we have? We've been getting shit from them since the beginning of motherfucking chips. Now we get it on our homeland. The 2 largest chip makers, AMD and NVIDIA, oh yeah, and also Apple, all are going to be buying from this shit. They're going to be paying taxes here in the United States of America. So the $6 billion that we gave them in grants, we're going to make that shit back every year, probably 10 times that. Why doesn't anyone sit down and say, hey, real quick, Donnie, when you said that kind of contradicts what you're trying to do, right? You're implementing these tariffs because you want to bring jobs to the states, but that's what the CHIPS Act is. So we can do all this shit in-house here in the United States of America. Am I missing something? We're bringing the world's largest semiconductor manufacturing company to the United States to make shit for Apple, for NVIDIA, AMD, here, giving Americans jobs, paying taxes here in the United States. They're going to pay us back all the money that we gave them in loans. How is this bad? Oh, the chips is just a bad deal. Taiwan is still in the U.S. chip industry. What chip industry have we had in the United States? We've been buying all this shit from them. It was a fucking shortage during your fucking pandemic. We couldn't get cars made because Taiwan had all the shit over there, man. We couldn't get shit through because you fumbled during the pandemic. We couldn't get shit in, man. The fuck is he talking about? The fuck is he? It's just a bad deal. It's a good deal, motherfucker. There's gonna be a lot of jobs created from this shit. Now, of course, prices are gonna go up, but the shit's here. If China does anything to Taiwan, guess what? We ain't got no shortage. We got 3 manufacturing companies. We good to go on American soil. And guess who's working there? Oh, yeah, that's right. Americans. Oh my goodness. So that's why when I hear people say, oh man, they're doing all this dumb shit, I'm like, no, this isn't dumb. This is actually, because guess what? Watch. In a year, 2 years, once all this is going through, and we're going to say in 2025, 2026, oh man, America's leading the way in chip manufacturing with these 3 new companies. Who's going to take credit for that? Who's going to take credit in 2 years when this shit is fully up and running, these 3 manufacturing companies, buildings? Who's going to take credit for this? Who's going to take, who's going to take credit for this? Fucking Donnie. We had the biggest chip deal in the world. We got the best chips here made in America. I promise to bring jobs back. The tariffs, I'm putting on these other. No, motherfucker. You tried to end the shit. I'm already going through everything you said, and we going back to what you did, and we canceling this shit out. No overtime tax. You took overtime. No tax on tips. You tried to get this tip stolen, motherfucker. We on your ass, Donnie. And all you motherfuckers I seen, like I said, I don't care who you vote for. Oh, he's going to make America great again. Yeah, but this is a bad deal. I was over in Torian's chat. No disrespect to Torian's chat. But oh, yeah, man. Kamala, they don't know what to look what Joe Biden and them did. Okay, turn your fucking phone off then. If you got a brand new phone, turn that motherfucker off. Get off your motherfucking computer then. Because guess what? That motherfucking phone you using, that computer you using, it got a TSMC chip in that motherfucker. And that shit's manufactured here in the goddamn United States. Guess why? Because fucking Biden and Kamala Harris did that shit. So if I see your ass talking that shit, I'm on your ass too. Yeah, y'all want to talk about how bad shit is? Turn your fucking phone off then. Walk your bitch ass to work then, nigga. Because that goddamn car you driving, guess what? It got a motherfucking chip in that bitch. Don't it? Don't it? Take your ass on your motherfucking bike and rollerblades then, nigga. Hey, this fucking up the world. Okay, nigga. Okay, we gonna see how fucked up shit is. Now, I don't want to hear none of that. Dirt. Okay, nigga. Mr. Know-it-all sitting there. Trump said it's a bad deal. Trump don't know a motherfucking thing about business. This nigga got a $5 million loan from his daddy, blew all that shit. How you got a goddamn casino and go bankrupt in a casino? Nigga, the house always wins. That's why we got the chips built here in America. It's goddamn the house always wins, nigga. Talk about a bad deal. It's just a bad, the chips are just a bad. We giving all these billions. Nigga, we gave them $6 billion in a motherfucking grant and $5 billion in loans. They put up $65 billion of their own money, nigga. A bad deal, nigga. We won that deal. They built the shit themselves and they about to employ all Americans, nigga. That's a good fucking deal. Where would the chip manufacturers be located in the U.S.? Oh, this is already up and running. This is already, TSMC announced the first Arizona fab was May 2020. Production began in April. The CHIP Act didn't get passed till 2022, but they were already in negotiation with TSMC. You see, Arizona is a desert. That's why they chose Arizona. They built down there. It ain't nothing but open land. Open land. Here we go. Let's continue on. Biden signed the CHIPS Act in 2022 of August. The company announced a second fab in December that year, with production expected to start by 2028. The company announced its third in April when Biden announced a preliminary agreement. So they stacking them up. They already got it. To receive funding under the CHIPS Act, the company must hit a certain construction, production, and other milestones. TSMC has met enough milestones to receive at least $1 billion by the end of the year and will receive the rest as the project progresses. Director of the CHIPS Act program in Office of the Commerce Department. It's a binding contract. Oh, you know, binding contract is good. The White House CHIPS implementation coordinator. The company, as long as it meets its milestones, has a contractual binding agreement from the government to move forward. Now, it's not, if they can't meet this shit, then the government's on your ass. We shut your ass down. They're not going to be spending excess money. It's a binding contract. You got to continue to reach milestones. This is a good ass deal. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? He's selling fucking electronic guitars, people. He's selling electronic guitars right now. That's who we got coming up next. He's selling electric guitars, people. And you want to talk to me about good and bad deals? This nigga's a joke. Mo, you do know why they love Trump so much. You know why I know they love him. But do you know, I don't give a fuck why they love him. I'm just pointing out the economic disaster that we're about to witness. I don't know why they love him. I don't care why they love him. I know they look. I see all this stuff I'm showing you guys. I've already like done my own personal research on it. Like I said, I really don't care who you vote for. I'm just pointing out, excuse me, as far as numbers go, like your political beliefs are yours. I just like numbers. Like I said, that's what I got a financial background. So that's why I just love looking at all this stuff, because it's cool to implement the shit that I learned and actually see it in the real world, even though I don't personally per se work like in the business atmosphere, but I know like little things. So when I see all of this shit, it's pretty cool. It's just, we could be honest. I'm gonna tell y'all, they just didn't want, like, man, it just niggas ain't want no goddamn black woman to be in charge of them. That's really the only reason Kamala lost. That's really all it is. They're like, man, hell no. And I understand why. Like, but it is what it is. That's your political choice. You know what I'm saying? That's your right. But this is a good ass deal if you ask me. Nah, I ain't buying them. Man, hell no, I ain't buying them damn shoes. All right, here we go. So we know it's a binding contract. Early production yields at TSMC's first fab in Arizona are at least as good as similar factories in Taiwan, Bloomberg reported last month. Now, remember, we're still getting the shit from Taiwan because they're building these motherfuckers up. Even though it's never been done before, listen, how is it a bad deal when it's never been done before in the United States? It's being done now. To all the naysayers, I say it's happening. The proof is in the pudding. There's never, ever been a chips manufacturing company in the United States. So how are we taking away from the United States of America chip industry when we never had one? This is the first fucking one that we're having. And we're not even paying for it. They're paying for it. And we're going to reap the benefits. That's a win fucking win. $6 billion in grants. They get $5 billion loan. They're going to pay us that back with interest. Let's just say $6 billion. That covers the $6 billion grant. They put up the $65 billion. They got to pay taxes to stay on that land. They got to pay the employees, which in return, the employees pay their taxes. We get all the money back. And we didn't have to do nothing. We didn't have to do nothing. Except for put some money away for some chips. And that's why I was asking people, does anyone know what Moore's Law is? Well, let me tell you what Moore's Law is. It ain't me, though. But you know what I'm saying? Let me tell y'all what Moore's Law is. This is important to know if you're into technology. Moore's Law is the observation that the number of transistors in an integrated circuit, IC, doubles roughly every 2 years. Meaning, you know, every phone that comes out, whatever they talk about, new computers are coming out, that's because the memory is doubling every 2 years. Was actually under 2 years. It's roughly around 18 months now with Moore's Law, that they can make semiconductors smaller and smaller and smaller. So you have all the transistors, they're getting smaller and smaller. That's why chips are so small, and you can get more and more memory. Remember, 1 gig used to be, oh shit, I got 1 gig of data. I could put a lot of shit on here 1 gig. Then you got the 10 gigs, 20 gig. Now I got a 5 terabyte, I got a 1 terabyte, I got a 5 terabyte hooked up. You can get a 20 terabyte. That's because Moore's Law every 18 months is just doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling, which is good for us because now we're about to have the semiconductors here in the States. So with this happening, we're going to start progressing very, very quickly here. Eventually, it's going to go down from 18 months to about roughly a year on how fast they can crank these things out. So memory is getting faster. Of course, your graphics are going to get better. Shit's going to start getting so realistic. That's why you're starting to see a lot of VR and all this extra shit coming out. It's because we're able to do this because of Moore's Law. Now, with this being the first ever semiconductor manufacturing plant that we're stealing from America, but it's in America for the first time ever, this is going to allow America to stay up to date. Now, you see South Korea, you got Samsung over there, how they knocking shit out. You got Japan and Sony and Nintendo and how they knocking shit out. You see what I'm saying? You got all these manufacturers, Philips, Panasonic, all of these are fucking not European, but they're Asian countries. They're going quick, 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 quick. This is putting us in the game. This is putting us in the game. So by 2030, 2035, we in there. We can at least compete and keep up with the fuck they got going on. So it's not a bad deal. Everything isn't going to happen right now. It's not day one mass deportation. This shit is the long game. So it's not a bad deal. We're going to, that $6 billion that we gave them in grants and that $1 billion they get a year if they're meeting the milestones, we're going to make so much money off of this shit. And we're going to be self-sufficient. We don't have to worry about outsourcing as much, because we want to get to the point where, yeah, we can have everything made here in America, but of course that's going to be expensive as hell. That's why it's good to have these relationships with people and not slap them over the fucking head with 100% and 200% tariffs. Now, of course, when they start acting up, like when China was having their little thing, we had to hit them with a couple of tariffs to let them know, stop fucking around with us. But you got to scale it back. And that's why Mexico and Canada, we have the open borders, because we got a good ass relationship. But to hit Mexico with a 200% tariff, 100% tariff, when this is supposed to be our fucking open border ally, our little brother, that's bad for business. That's bad for business. Telling them they got to build a wall, that's bad. They're not building no fucking wall. They don't want no wall. They don't give a fuck about no wall. We don't even give a fuck about a wall. We ain't even got a wall built. But hey, it is what it is, man. I'm just here to give you guys the fact. I'm not making up anything. Everything I'm showing you guys is what he said and what the truth is. That's it. Trump is a representative of peak whiteness to them. That's all it is. And they say we love identity politics. Yeah, man, it's just I don't know, man. They see Trump and they just believe everything that he said. Oh yeah, it's good. They still believe that the stimulus checks was sent by this nigga. They still believe that the election was stolen. It's just, and I mean, to be honest with you, they really don't. They didn't want no black woman to be in charge. It's not, some of them say she was incompetent. She's smarter than this guy, obviously. But as far as like book smart, yeah, he may have had like a one up on her in business, but it's not even good business. It's always finessing business. It's going bankrupt, taking my money, taking out loans on shit, and borrowing against it so I can keep the money, putting my assets somewhere else. So that's really all he's doing. The nigga's a con artist, but you gotta. I mean, it is what it is. Like I say, we gonna survive. We did 4 years. It's gonna be rough. They're gonna try to stay in office longer than 4 years when it's over with. More people gonna realize that it was actually fucked up with what happened. And we'll get through the 4 years. It's gonna be funny as hell. Are we gonna be affected real bad? Probably not. Will we see a difference? Yeah. But it is what it is, man. It's all good to me, man. We almost had 3 hours, man. But that's what tariffs and bringing jobs back to America is. If that, if that was any kind of clarity, let me know. I mean, I try, at the end I had to get a little animated with it, but in all seriousness, that's what's going on right now. So we just took everything that he said and we applied it to what's really going on and how mass deportations, it's not, first of all, it's not even feasible. We're not even capable of doing that. And then we got the tariffs. It's just a bunch of talk, to be honest.